Hey, Franchise 181, welcome. The D-Train, Daniel Ehrenberg, the H-Bomb, Henry Papali. We're done with talking about the air.
We are.
But we're here to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And this week, we're going to stuff your turkey. Gonna rub sweet potatoes all over your thighs.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, pretty much these
I'm
aren't
gonna
even
eat
like...
cranberry sauce off of your sweet pink tits.
Yeah. Get the turkey baster. Place that in places.
Oh, you want to baste?
Well, you could baste. None of these are analogies, folks. These are all sexual
You know what
acts
I like
that
to eat,
probably
Henry?
take place. What's that,
I
son?
like to eat the neck and the butt.
Do you tease yourself with the turkey? Do you like?
Oh, I didn't
hold it
realize we were
close to
still
your mouth?
talking about turkey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That was
Classic joke, baby.
that was pretty
I'm bringing
good.
that one
Pretty
down to Branson, Missouri on my next tour. Let's talk about these movies. We're doing 9.5 weeks. And here's the big news. Last week, we said we were just going to do 9.5 weeks this week. Our patrons know that we then could not find the third 9.5 weeks movie. And so we're just doing the first two this week because the third one I don't think exists.
Right.
I did watch a trailer that I was able to find on YouTube.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
That
it
was
looked real
evidence.
good. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with either 9.5 week movie. It just looks like a sexy movie
Right.
that they stuck the name on.
Okay.
Malcolm
All right.
McDowell's in it.
I saw that. Yeah. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's sexy.
Well, he's not. It's sort of like he's got like a young, sexy wife down in New Orleans, and the guy is like working for Malcolm McDowell, and the wife wants to bone him.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. All right.
But
Well,
first,
that
we're
sounds
going to talk about these 2 9.5 weeks movies. And they, were released more than 10 years apart. One in theaters, one not. And I'm ready to do it. These were all new to me.
You'd never seen the first one.
That's
ever.
right. And NBC taught me that if you've never seen it, it's new to you. Remember those ads?
If you've never seen it, it's new to you?
I
don't.
When cable was first starting to become popular, the networks were getting blowback for airing so many reruns.
Sure.
And I remember anytime they'd air a rerun on NBC, they would put on an ad. Hey, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you.
That's funny. Wow. Clever.
Great stuff.
Redundant broadcasting.
But I
like
was always like, I've seen it already, bro.
it.
Shit ain't new to me. I've already seen this episode of Dharma and Greg.
Yeah. Your little philosophical nugget doesn't work on me, NBC.
That's right, son. I'm a completist. And
Yeah.
I'm already complete.
Yeah, it's never going to work on Dan. He's obviously seen everything already.
That's right. Bring me back to sweeps times so I could get some new eps.
Yeah. Well, I had seen 9.5 weeks a few times throughout my life.
How old?
The first time I saw it?
Yeah.
Probably, I want to say like maybe 19 or 20.
Did you jerk
So
it to this?
later. I declined to answer.
Oh
the
my
question
God,
on
he
the
remembers.
ground.
I see it in his eyes. He remembers
that-
a specific
that
time
ev-
that he
that
had
the
his hard
evidence
dick out during this movie.
That evidence may choose to incriminate me. Yeah, no, I don't know. But what I
You do
remember,
know.
What I do remember is when I was a kid. Remember how we were talking about horror movies and how like covers that scared you.
Oh,
like,
this cover gave you one of those uncomfortable little not quite hard boners?
It was one of those covers that it looked so fucking outrageous and illicit to my young eyes. You know what I mean? I was just
Sure.
like, oh boy, I bet that movie's fucking something. I bet that's what's that about? You know, before I even knew what anything was.
Well, I did always wonder what the title meant.
Yeah, I did too when I was younger. Yeah,
I didn't know until 2 days ago.
9.5 weeks of bad weather, 9.5 weeks till opening day.
Well, I certainly thought it was something more than just that's how long their relationship was.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way. You're right. It feels like something ominous, really.
Yeah, it felt like you've got 9.5 weeks to decide to marry me, or else I'm gonna murder your family.
9.5 weeks to live.
Yeah,
Something like that, which would be a great title for a show.
Yeah, like 3 days to kill.
Yeah, but then I recall, I don't want to give anything away about my review yet, as usual, but I always liked this film, very much so. I haven't seen it probably all the way through in well over 10 years. But I always liked Adrian Lyne, and I always wanted to cover it on the show just because I thought it was just kind of I know what a sort of cult phenomenon it was, because it was a fucking bomb here, but overseas they love it. And I always loved Mickey Rourke. He's one of my favorite actors, and Kim Basinger was my first celebrity crush. So, it was something that lent itself to coverage by us. I had never seen another 9.5 weeks.
Okay, well, you have now though, right?
Oh, yes.
That's exciting. Yes. Henry, you brought up Adrian Lyne, master of the 3-star film. Let's just do the ranking. We ranked all his movies. He hasn't made that many movies, and he hasn't made anything since 2002, which is weird. He's still alive and not crazy old.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was doing these ranks, I was actually thinking we might have missed the boat here. We probably should have done a Mickey Rourke ranking, because I looked at his filmography and I'd seen like 21 of his movies.
No, I thought about it, but that's a lot to talk about. We could have done Basinger too.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll get Rourke at some point with the Expendables and shit.
Oh, that's true. He pops up. Man, Double Team was never a franchise?
I mean, obviously.
That'd be high on my list, man.
You never run out of titles with a movie like that, because it just becomes Double Team, Triple Team.
Right, like Ocean's 11.
Exactly, except you change the first word. You keep team.
That's a great point.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Why didn't they call the sequel to 9.5 weeks 10.5 weeks?
I don't really know. Or just 2 months and a week and a half.
It's like that abortion movie, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days.
I can't add like that. I don't understand. It's like my baby's 62 months. It's like I did
have to do the math in my head. Like when I was watching this movie and I realized that 9.5 weeks meant that's how long they date for. I'm like, I had to think all right, so a little over 2 months. That's not that significant a relationship.
That's what I thought. I was thinking wait a second. I've had several relationships that were 2 months.
I've dated women I hate longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's about the intensity of the time together.
It sure was intense and sticky. Let's talk about it. Adrian Lyne ranking. Let's do it. How many of his films have you seen?
Wow, I have a little bit of a deficit here. I've only seen 5.
That's not that bad. He's only made 8 movies.
But 3 of them are some of his most famous movies that I have not seen.
The only one I haven't seen is his first film, Foxes.
I haven't seen that either, and I probably never will. But yeah, the Jodie Foster vehicle.
Maybe I have to. Maybe now I'm an Adrian Lyne completist.
You could. I mean, you might as well. So you've seen 7.
I've seen 7. The worst Adrian Lyne movie, bar none, is fucking Flashdance.
That's the other one. I have never seen Flashdance ever.
It's weird that you haven't seen that, but that is a particularly bad movie.
I just remember it being huge when I was a kid, but never giving a shit about it because it's about a fucking dancer, right? I don't know why.
Well, no, it's about a welder.
Oh, right. I remember the music video.
It has honestly more to do with welding than dancing.
Maybe that would be more interesting. I don't know a lot about welding.
No, you might like it, actually. It's a lot of time spent in a steel town. And, she's not taken seriously by the other welders.
Obviously. It's Jennifer, who?
Beals.
Beals.
She's doing some kind of an accent in that movie, too.
Oh. Oh no, is she attempting like some Western Pennsylvania thing going on
Yeah,
there?
yeah, but
Oh no.
it just sounds like New Jersey or something.
Okay, Flashdance. Fame. I'm gonna live
No, no, it's
forever.
What a Feeling is from Flashdance, right?
I always confuse the songs in those two.
And Maniac.
Well, there's a couple in Flashdance, right? There's Maniac, yeah, Maniac, and Flashdance also has
What a
God
Feeling.
damn it.
What are you
Oh,
thinking of? Footloose?
No. You said because you said two songs in quick succession.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Yep. Okay. Right.
I cousin Gregged it.
Oh, well
In
done.
Succession. Yeah. Number 6 for me, Henry. Not to spoil my rating of the movie, but 9.5 weeks.
Okay. Third worst. So it's better than Flashdance
And worse
That's it.
than everything else he's ever made.
got it. All right. Number 5. The worst, and I like this movie. But it's probably pretty bad. I haven't seen it in a very, very long time. That is Indecent Proposal.
That's a fun movie.
Fun.
It's one
Yeah.
of those movies. I feel like all his movies are just like yuppies fucking.
I'm not. It's hard for me to disagree with that assessment, with the exception of one clear different movie.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Well, Jacob's Ladder.
There's kind of yuppies fucking in that.
Right. Fucking around in the jungles of Saigon.
That's my number 5. Speaking of Jacob's Ladder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. I don't want to spoil my, but the second worst Adrian Lyne film, or fourth best, is 9.5 weeks.
Oh, interesting. Okay. My number 4 is Indecent Proposal.
All right. My number 3 is, I think, a very good movie and underrated, and I think it is possibly a 4-star, probably a 3. That is Unfaithful.
My number 3 is a movie that's definitely a 3-star movie and is properly rated, and it's called Unfaithful.
This next movie, my number 2, is a 5-star movie.
Get out of here. There is no 5-star movies on this list. Adrian Lyne's ceiling is strong 3.
I don't agree with that, as you know, and that is Jacob's Ladder.
Okay. And that's your number 2?
Yeah, it was hard.
All right. My number 2 is Fatal Attraction.
That's the best movie he's ever made, so that's my number 1.
My number 1 is Lolita. His adaptation of Lolita with Jeremy Irons. When I started making this list, I didn't think that would be number 1. And then the more I thought about it, was like in my head, I feel like that's as good as the Kubrick version. And granted, like the Kubrick version is not like one of his best films. It's
I'm
one
not a
of his
fan.
worst films.
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
still a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Right.
And so in thinking like Adrian Lyne has made a version that matched the Kubrick version, I was like, that's got to be number 1.
Very interesting. I remember when it came out, and I did not see it, almost specifically because I was such a fucking prick about being so incensed that they even had the balls to remake a film I didn't even like.
Yeah.
But I was still like, how dare you? But I have never heard anyone say that it isn't good. I've heard many people say what you said, that it's probably better than the original, and I should see it. But I mean, Fatal Attraction's just a great movie. I love it. I
can't get past Glenn Close's hair.
Neither could Douglas. That's why he's always brushing it away when they're in the elevator.
I just think it's disgusting.
It's like a rat's nest.
It looks like if you touched it, it'd feel like one of those metal Brillo pads.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough going there. But I think there's only 2 movies that this man has made, that I love, but I do love them, and that's Jacob's Ladder and Fatal Attraction. I love those movies.
2 solid 3s.
Oh, that's bullshit. I don't know how you could say that about Fatal Attraction, man. Jacob's Ladder is kind of a taste for certain people. I understand you're not, but Fatal Attraction, man, come on. When was the last time you watched that?
I don't know, probably like 10 years ago, but
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, that's the last time I saw 9.5 weeks. So
All right. Well, we're revisiting it right this second. Adrian
we are.
Lyne, we just talked about. He's the director. We've got 3 writing credits on this bad boy. Sarah Kurno-chan, Zalman King, and
the great.
the great Zalman King, and Patricia Louisiana Knopp. Now, Zalman King, of course, known for being a porn producer, and Patricia Knopp worked with him his entire career. They went on after 9.5 weeks to basically do softcore porn. They created the Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah, they were married. I didn't know that.
Oh, they were? I didn't know that either. Ooh,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
we
yeah.
know what their sex life was like.
For a long time, man. Yeah.
But that's the way to go if you're a producer, right? Just like think about it. Like, what do we have at our disposal? We're great at fucking. Let's write movies around all of our fuck styles.
Write about what you know is what they say.
That's right, yeah.
If that's a specialty, then that's a great point.
And they know really slow, boring fucking that involves lots of props.
It's very intricate. Orgasm is seldom reached.
Are you kidding me? I feel like they're orgasming all the time, but they're not orgasming from normal stuff. They're orgasming from like a piece of ice against your neck.
I feel like there's more orgasming. Great word. In another 9.5 weeks. I feel like there's lots of orgasming in that. I don't feel like there's a lot of climaxing in that we don't see.
Well, I believe in 9.5 weeks they're making love, and in another 9.5 weeks, I feel as though the Angie Everhard character is very much in love with the Mickey Rourke character, whereas in this it was more, I don't even know what to say.
It's a toughie to crack.
There's
Yeah.
passion. There's more passion in 9.5 weeks, but in another 9.5 weeks, I feel like she's really trying to get at this guy. Like, I've imagined fucking you for years. I've read all about it. Let me see what it's like. And it seems like it lived up to all of her expectations.
Totally, and then some.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Favorite fact about Zalman King. I always thought he was like Hungarian or something weird and European, exotic. You know, his name's Zalman King Lefkowitz, and he's from Trenton. He's from Trenton, New Jersey, folks.
And by the sound of it, a Jew.
I would say that's a safe bet.
Yeah. Sarah Kurna-chan, by the way, the third writer, she, I assume, wrote more of the friendship stuff because her writing tends more towards, like, female light comedy, kind of.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Although she does have a story credit on What Lies Beneath.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah, it's all right. Zemeck. This movie came out Feb 21, 1986. They should have released it a week earlier in time for Valentine's.
Perfect.
What the fuck were they doing back then? When did movie studios figure out release dates?
When did that start happening, man? I mean, the 90s?
It must have been 90s.
Yeah, it had to be. In the 80s, it was just not a consideration.
It was like Independence Day came out. It was about July 4th. They put it out on July 4th. They saw it was a big hit, and they were like, maybe release dates matter.
That's it. Yeah, they're at the round table, and they're just going with 9.5 weeks. They're like, when's the earliest day we can get for this? February? What day? The 21st? All right. It's a love story? Yeah. All right.
It just
What
seems,
about Valentine's Day?
It seems so crazy. MGM has like the most erotic film of the year. What should we do with it? How about the week after Valentine's Day when everyone's sick of love?
Maybe that's what it is. It's a breakup movie.
I guess so. But it tanked. Budget of $17 million, Henry. It tanked here. It was number 93 at the box office for 1986. Between two movies I've never heard of, Trick or Treat and Black Moon Rising.
Don't know either of those either.
You don't know them? Let's look them up.
Nope, I don't. Black Moon Rising sounds more. I don't know Trick or Treat.
Well, I'll tell you, it definitely has an O in it. It's not like that other Trick or Treat movie.
Okay, all right. Or
no apostrophes involved in this film.
Right. That's a fun movie too, by the way.
I've never seen it.
Trick or Treat? No, really.
Looks like a bullied teenage boy is devastated after the death of his heavy metal idol Sammy Kerr, but as Halloween night approaches, he discovers that he may be the only one who can stop Sammy from making a satanic comeback from beyond the grave. That sounds good.
Whoa. Yeah. Jeez. All right. Black
Metal horror movie. I always like those, like Rock and Roll Nightmare and Black Roses. Black Moon Rising, which is streaming for free on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it.
Okay.
It's got a screenplay credit from John Carpenter.
Whoa.
He didn't direct it, though.
Okay.
A thief,
right.
Quint, is hired by the Justice Department to steal incriminating tapes from a corrupt corporation. The tapes vanish when he hides them in the back of a hydrodynamic-powered racing car that is stolen by a hot car ring. Listen to this cast, Henry. I'll just read you the top 3 names on the board.
Yeah.
TLJ, Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay.
Linda Hamilton.
Okay.
And villain Robert Vaughn.
Wow, man.
Sounds good.
Jeez, you got those 3. You got John Carpenter. You got Quint from Jaws starring. That's pretty cool. And you got a CCR song, Flipped to Black. That's pretty good.
That's right.
All right.
All right, so that's what was going on. But it was a huge hit overseas and an even huger hit on home video.
Yeah, those were the days, man.
A lot of people made it a blockbuster night with this baby. And ultimately it grossed $100 million total.
Now that's counting overseas. That's pre-rental. Yeah.
That might include home video.
I think that's cheating, but that's fine. I mean, I'm happy, but that's cheating. Yeah.
Henry, it was nominated for some awards.
Was it now? Mm-hmm. Was it really? What awards, dude?
The Golden Raspberries.
Oh, all right. Well, here we go.
It's the raspberries, no razzmatazz. All we're lacking is a little pizzazz, 'cause it's the golden raspberries. It's the worst of the worst, not the best of the best. It's pizzazz gone raz.
Dan had a great dance he was doing there. It was real intense.
I was into it, man.
Yeah.
Nominated for 3 Razzies, Henry, but it did not win any. So it came out safe. Kim Basinger nominated for Worst Actress of the Year.
That's pretty harsh.
I thought it was pretty harsh, too. She's not great, but
He's not the problem here.
She's nowhere close to the problem. She lost, though, to Madonna for Shanghai Surprise.
I think that's a fine choice.
Yeah.
That's what the Razzies were made for.
Madonna Surprise.
Madonna performances.
Yeah, but she had some good ones back then. But Shanghai Surprise and Who's That Girl were pretty...
She good in Desperately Seeking Susan.
Yeah. A League of Their Own.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't talk shit, bitch.
No, I know.
No. Nominated for Worst Song. Okay.
Which one?
It's the theme of the song that was written by the bassist from Duran Duran. It was a solo project by the bassist from Duran Duran. Now, I happen to know somebody who's friends with the bassist from Duran Duran, Henry. So I don't want to say too many negative things about that song. I'm not going to be too harsh here, but yeah, it's a horrible piece of shit. I mean, it's really bad, dude.
It's real bad because, once we start really getting into the movie, we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. But that song sucks. I thought there were several songs that weren't very good, but most of them fit in with a 1986 movie.
Yeah, there are a couple of really bad songs in this movie, but a couple of good ones. I thought the music in this one was much better than the sequel.
Yes. I mean, the sequel is just Euro made for that movie disco pop. It's unbelievable.
I thought I was going to start vomiting trip hop after watching that movie.
That Yeah, the sequel's music is just unbelievable. The original music for this movie is by Jack Nietzsche, and he's a pretty good composer for movies. I was looking him up, and he's done some really good scores. And so
He's one of our great thinkers as well.
not one of ours, but yeah, one of the great thinkers.
Oh, wait. So anyway, lost worst song to a song called Love or Money from Under the Cherry Moon.
I know that movie. I've heard of that movie.
That's the black and white Prince movie, the follow-up to Purple Rain.
Now I know why I haven't seen it.
I've seen it. It's a very fun movie. That's underrated, Henry.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, it's not super memorable. The songs aren't that good except for there's one really classic one. Maybe Cream?
Under the cherry moon, I will have you under the cherry moon.
Right? Is that right?
Better than the music in Maximum Overdrive.
Okay.
Nominated for...
This podcast for a special weather bulletin. We need to have an off-air conversation.
Get away from the mic. Nominated for worst screenplay.
That's very fair.
Thanks for saying. I was waiting for a reaction. You really hit it out of the park.
First screenplay for Razzie.
Yeah,
No, that's the issue. My issue with this movie.
the screenplay.
That's my issue.
That is not even my. Well, it's part of my issue. It lost to Howard the Duck, which I think has a better screenplay than this.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's been 50 years since I've seen Howard the Duck.
This
I
film
imagine
is definitely lacking in duck puns.
Well, they do probably. There are ducks in the film, though.
Are there?
Dead ones in the Chinese grocery.
That's
So-
right. That's right. They have a real meat cute, Henry.
MEAT.
That's right. That was the joke.
Right. In a meat shop.
Yeah, that's why I made the joke.
Oh, well, it could have gone another way, too, obviously, for the
What,
meat.
his dick? Well, they don't fuck right away, man. He builds up to the fucking.
Right. That's not his primary concern.
No, at first it's just making sure she gets that shawl. And
Yeah,
making
and-
sure she knows everything that he could impart to her about which mobsters ate which pasta dishes where.
That is right. That is right. That is a crucial scene.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's a long scene. Yeah.
Very long. All right, let's talk about it, Henry. It opens on young.
Oh, I thought. Wait, I'm sorry. I thought we had an AFI.
No, it's not on an AFI.
Okay.
It was
That's
nominated for an AFI list, Henry. It didn't make it to the list.
Yeah, oh my God! How insulting! How do you get nominated for an AFI?
This happens a lot, Henry. I don't talk about it a lot on the show. For all of those AFI lists, they have a long list of 400 movies that they then whittle down to 100. Wow! And so 9.5 Weeks was nominated for I guess Love Story.
It was something about passion. I read.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
passionate something, and it didn't make the cut. All
Mm-hmm.
right. All right. Well, we have an 86 list. We can
Oh,
run
that's
through-
true. We could do that. The year I was born, Henry. I was not alive yet. My mother was pregnant when 9.5 Weeks came out.
I was 7 years old.
Okay. I've got an old 86 list here. What you want to start?
Sure. There's been a change, so here we go. Number 10, The Mission.
All right, mine's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
All right. Number 9, one of Dan's most recent favorite movies, The Golden Child.
Horrible. Number 9, one of my actual most recent favorite movies, Stand By Me.
Pretty hard to get through that one. Number 8, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
My number 8 is Aliens.
Ooh. All right, forgot that was so low. Okay. Number 7 is Manhunter.
My number 7 is The Fly.
My number 6 is Blue Velvet.
My number 6 is She's Gotta Have It.
Heavy hitters.
These are the grand slams, the slap shots, the three-pointers, the touchdowns, the curling when the puck gets close to the circle. These are the heavy hitters of the franchise. Heavy hitter.
Number 5 is The Fly.
All right, my number 5 is Down by Law.
Okay. My number 4 is Big Trouble in Little China.
My number 4 is Sid, as well as Nancy.
All right. And my number 3 is Aliens.
My number 3 is Manhunter.
My number 2 is Platoon.
My number 2 is Hannah, as well as her sisters.
And the best movie 1986 is Hannah and the sisters she has.
Mine is Blue Velvet. Hannah and her sisters, by the way, happy Thanksgiving, Henry.
That's right. That's a Thanksgiving
Bit of
movie.
a Thanksgiving-themed film.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Thanksgiving movie. Yeah, there you go.
All right, 9.5 weeks. Let's start it. Start it up.
Yeah.
Opening on Kim Basinger. All right, she's young. She's beautiful. She's divorced. But first we just see her walking through the streets of New York, getting the handle on this character. And you know that she's beautiful. You know, like the filmmakers have to tell you she's beautiful. We can't just look at her and think for ourselves, oh, she's beautiful. We have to have, everywhere she goes, she gets catcalled by men on the street. Hey, baby, what's going on? And she just acts like it's like, oh, I must be looking good.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She's not offended nor turned off.
Nor are the men pushy. They're
not really.
This takes place in like a perfect world where a catcall consists of a guy going like, you look fucking amazing. The girl going like, ooh, thank you. And the guy going, keep walking. Enjoy the rest of your day.
This is not the Chicago of 80s Child's Play. This is a friendly New York of 1986. That's right.
It's very friendly. It reminded me of actually the New York of Weekend at Bernie's.
Everybody's very cordial.
Yeah.
Hey, you look very good today.
Yeah.
Keep walking. I'll let you pass. No problem.
Hey,
Oh.
your tits are pretty. I think they're perfectly in proportion with the rest of your body.
They're very
Thank you. Yeah.
Illiterate construction workers. Yes. You remind me of like a Michelangelo, Venus de Milo type of thing going on there.
You're gorgeous, honey, like my late sister.
Yeah. Oh, so there's still some of that weird sister stuff going on there with the construction workers. It's got a little bit of incestual. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that way. I was just thinking like, he was probably having a rough day, mourning the loss of his sister, and he saw this woman who reminded her, and it made him feel better about living in the world.
Very simple. Very simple. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So Basinger gets to work. She works at some sort of nebulous 80s job. You know, it's like
she works at the best job you would ever want. I mean, she works at a Soho art gallery with like 3 people. No time to start, really no time to end. Not 9 to 5. It seems pretty awesome. She clearly makes money. However, she does have a roommate. So I found that.
But they work together.
Right. Margaret Whitten, the villain in Major League. Did you recognize her?
I did, actually, yes. I recognized her, but not specifically from that. I had to IMDb it. But Margaret Whitten, yeah, she's sort of charming in this movie as the best friend character.
100% friend character.
Yeah, that's all she is.
Yeah.
She's one of those characters where if like you sat her down and you were like, all right, tell me more about you. She'd be like, well, I'm that girl's best friend.
Yeah, that's her. Ask her
what
about
What
me.
are you talking about? I live with her. We have the same friends, and I work with her.
We have the same. We're about to have the same boyfriend.
Yeah. What do you do at work? Oh, I support my friend.
Yeah. I order coffee, whatever she wants, I get. We order the same thing.
We have banter. We talk about her life, never about mine.
I ask her if her ex-husband is available for me.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but she does fuck the ex-husband. That's sort of a subplot that doesn't go anywhere.
And it could have gone somewhere.
It was interesting.
It was strange. I mean, especially when we kind of get a look at the ex-husband.
Yeah, this ex-husband character is hovering over this entire movie. I was thinking, like, maybe he's why she's so open to all this crazy sex shit. Because he was like beating her or something, but then they show him and he's just like a dude in a tweed jacket.
Yeah,
I don't even think he has any lines.
No, he has none. But he also looked almost like a Frenchman or something. There's something very rumpled professor about him. It was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, that's why I said the thing with the tweed jacket. I didn't. Yeah. I didn't think he was French. Did you catch something very French about him?
I don't know. He just gave a European vibe to me. He didn't seem like some guy walking off out from Brooklyn or something. Some I don't know.
It would make sense why the friend was into him, because the one thing we do know about her is she likes French shit.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
At the beginning, she orders a chocolate croissant, and that made me think too, because I feel like croissants became normal in America at a certain point, but when I was young, they were still like a weird bougie French thing to eat. And I honestly think it's just that we reached a point as a nation where we started just calling them croissants.
Yeah, no, I think you're
rather
right.
than over French pronouncing them.
No, you're right. It's just bread now. It's just funny shaped bread.
Yeah, you could get it in a fucking little bag at a bodega.
Yeah. Those bodega croissants.
I've eaten them, man.
Yeah. They take me back. Yeah. Great stuff. I would like to point out something, because I was very curious when this movie was over. I was reading about the writer, what this movie was based on. Did you do anything into that at all?
I did. Okay, so I should have said earlier that this film was initially developed as an adaptation of a novel by TriStar. They got cold feet about making it because of the adult content, so they passed it off to MGM. But yeah, apparently the original book, he drives her insane.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's written by an Austrian woman named Ingeborg Day, who published it under a pseudonym of Elizabeth McNeil. Thus, of course, Elizabeth being Kim Basinger's character's name. And if you read about this woman's life, this Ingeborg Day, it's fucking crazy.
What happened to her? I don't know much.
Well, she was, I couldn't stop reading. And then there was an article in the New Yorker about her when she died. She was born in 1940, and her father was an SS officer in World War II who clearly escaped punishment. And she was trying to spend her whole life understanding why he was this and reconciling it, and sometimes even trying to what's the word that I'm thinking of when you're trying to make something rationalized?
She's a Nazi sympathizer?
I don't think that. She's just very, very troubled. So then she gets into this relationship with this guy, and that's what the book 9.5 Weeks is about. And it is way fucking darker than this fucking movie. This guy is like a true-on S&M guy.
He doesn't let her eat or exercise or leave the apartment. And he, the book apparently ends with her being committed to a mental institution, and he just leaves her there and never goes to visit her.
Which is exactly what happened to her. Yeah.
Which, by the way, Henry, is kind of how Basic Instinct 2 ends.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
David Morse.
Yeah, the governor. He ends up in prison.
Yeah, the governor. Yeah. Well, it's crazy, though. And then, she wrote it, too, when she was a writer for Ms. Magazine. And so she didn't want anyone to know she wrote it because they thought that it would be her. So she successfully published it under the pseudonym, and nobody knew for years that it was her. And then she goes off, and she marries this guy 14 years her senior, takes care of him in his illness, and then kills herself at the age of 70 after being ill herself with an undisclosed illness.
Undisclosed, Henry.
What did I say?
Undisclosed twice.
Undisclosed.
No, you didn't. Go back and listen.
Undisclosed? I didn't say undisclosed.
Yes, you did.
It was a missyllabic misinterpretation of my own.
Are you going to read the book?
I'll tell you what. It's intriguing,
I think you should read the book and report back to us.
I think it sounds very intriguing. This woman is quite something else. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. So anyway, needless to say, I think that book would have either been unfilmable at the time or would have been really more for the likes of a Bernardo Bertolucci, somebody like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Adrian Lyne, he makes these erotic movies, but the sex in them doesn't really resemble actual sex. It's eroticism for a mass audience, whereas you watch something like Sex, Lies, and Videotape from the 80s, and that's like really what sex is like.
That's pretty much true, I would say. I think he's more about. I think Adrian Lyne's strongest suit as a director, and this is what I love. Well, this was what I liked about this movie on this watch. He is really astonishing with his camera, like the visuals he creates of New York and the apartments and all that. Like I love his. Yeah, I know you disagree.
It's all right.
I just think he has a great way with the camera. And I'm not talking about the honey dripping off her legs, all right, before you jump down my throat here. I just think he's got a great feel for the camera. I think he's a really good director. I like some of the motion shots of her like walking down the street and it's like frantically looking up underneath her. I think he's got a great. I love the film stock.
Yeah, I actually liked that too. It's a good film stock. It's a little on the grainy side.
It's very grainy, and I watched a remastered version. As far as I know, I don't know. I watched it on Amazon Prime, but
me too.
Yeah, I think the visuals in the film are very good. They're always like fucking smoky and misty, and everything's a little darkly lit.
It's a very professionally made movie.
He knows how to direct a movie. He just needs a script that's telling a story of any kind whatsoever. That's the problem with this movie.
All right, well, let's keep going. She meets Mickey Rourke at the Chinese grocery, which we talked about.
Yeah.
And he hits on her. I found it like, I don't know, it wasn't a great approach. Like, he wouldn't have gotten me.
Well, the thing is, he looks like Mickey Rourke, so.
I mean, is Mickey Rourke? I guess like Mickey, there's something sexy about him. I figured out something.
Mickey Rourke is cool as fuck, man.
I figured out something watching this movie, Henry.
Yeah, what's that?
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
I think his entire persona is taken from Mickey Rourke in 9.5 Weeks.
I can't fully. That's very apropos.
Dude, think about him in like Blue Valentine and just like that whole thing where it's like, look, I'm a cool guy. I never raised my voice. I'm going to talk like this. I got a little bit of an accent. Like, I'm a relaxed guy. I got a little bit of a sheepish smile, but I can fuck.
You're absolutely right. Ryan Gosling always, and he also always relies more on not talking and more just like what he's like reacting to, and it's always very subtle. And that's a very good point. I would argue that there's actually quite a few actors who have tried to sort of be Mickey Rourke. I remember Vincent Gallo once saying about Sean Penn something not very nice, but he said Sean Penn wishes he could be Mickey Rourke.
Oh my God. How dare he say that? He's one of our finest actors.
It's true. But yeah, no, Mickey Rourke to me growing up was always a really cool actor, and I always have thought his movies in the 80s were sort of he's just a very cool guy. You just kind of want to be like him, he's
to a point.
I'm not saying I don't mean his real life, but I'm not saying all his behaviors.
Yeah, he's an aspirable guy for like 3 years.
I mean, he's just very kind of an effortlessly cool actor. That's all, in Pope of Greenwich Village and 9.5 Weeks and Angel Heart and Johnny Handsome. He's just got Diner. He's just got this kind of presence that's very cool. And so anyway, I think he hits on her. It's very forward.
Right.
Basically over her shoulder. But,
and she's not feeling it, but she remembers it. Like, we see her later on talking like, this dude hit on me, and he was, like, pretty hot.
Yeah.
And I think it was sort of the first time since her divorce where she was like, I could fuck that guy.
You could be right. I don't recall.
How old is she supposed to be?
I mean, I wanted to look up to see how old she actually was, and this movie was actually finished in 1984, so she was actually 31.
I don't think she's supposed to be that old in this.
I don't either. I feel like late 20s, though. I don't feel it's any younger.
26? I don't know.
I don't think it's any younger than that. I mean, I don't think it should. But
I feel like we're supposed to think she's like a little on the young and naive side.
I think you're right. Absolutely. But it did occur to me during the movie that are we never told how long she's been divorced?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's a recent divorce, but like I don't know if that means like last month or last year.
Yeah, I don't either. I almost feel like that's kind of a big omission to have in there. Like, why have her at all?
There's a lot of big omissions.
Yeah. And emissions.
That's true too. All right, what happens next? They see each other at that farmer's market or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the Chelsea market, which I've been to.
Me too. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many in New York, but that's what I figured it was. Yeah, of course. That's us being a little local there.
Yeah.
But
so that's where they are, and she's looking at a shawl, and it's $300, and she can't talk the seller down, and so Rourke shows up. He overhears all this. Is he stalking her at this point, or is this a chance encounter?
I
have no idea.
They make it hard to tell. I mean, you could go either way. But I would think it's a chance encounter because I don't believe we see him like. I think he just sees her again.
They just work in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, he's on Wall Street. She's in Soho, so it's it's not like he's on the Upper West Side. And all right, I know it's a little bit of.
You don't run into people from Wall Street.
Yeah, he's a very strange guy though. So he probably gets on that. Probably gets on the one train, takes it up there a little bit, walks around Soho. Oh, there's that girl.
Hey, there's that one I hit on at the fish shop.
Yeah, those are the dead chickens. And then she buys the chicken that is really a gross thing to buy. It's like this mechanical chicken shitting eggs.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
How come every time I see you're looking at chickens?
I also like that clock that the roommate had that when you set it and it goes off, it runs around. Do you remember? Cool? There was a clock with feet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't realize it was a clock. I thought it was just one of those like gag wind-up toys.
I enjoyed that. My favorite parts of this movie were just the little accoutrement.
Sure, because there were like all these great '80s things that are just totally gone. So he buys her this $300 shawl. By the way, probably could have talked that saleswoman down, I think, if we're really talking about the Chelsea market here.
Well, she tried and she couldn't, but maybe Mickey Rourke's a little more forceful.
And he's Mickey Rourke. I'll say it again.
What, everybody? Mickey Rourke's walking around the A's. Everybody wants to fuck this guy? He's not that good looking.
Even the big fat guy's like, oh, for you, yeah. For Kim Basinger, not really. But for you, no problem. 100 clams.
Yeah, everyone likes him until he's walking around with a dude with a mustache.
That's true. That doesn't go over well at all. Yeah.
All right. So whatever. They end up dating, and what happens? It gets sexual pretty quick. He takes her to Coney.
Right. Is that the first sort of date they go on?
I think that's the first real major date. Well, first they have that lunch at that Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Which I just instantly don't trust him. Because he's sitting, right. He's just describing mob bosses. He's like, hey, you want to hear a story?
Well, I think that's the point, though.
Hey,
right?
Hey, you want to hear a story?
Who is he, Joe Mantegna?
Hey, you want to hear a story?
Yes, sure.
You see that table over there?
Yeah.
Dominic Zurici. You know Dominic Zurici?
No, I don't.
Well, he was a big guy. He's deceased these days, but he killed a lot of people. He ran the heroin trade in the late 70s. He sat right there at that table. He ate a pasta fazool.
Oh, and I forgot to mention the last part. He blew his fucking brains out all over the table. You see that table over there?
His face landed right in his Tortellini fra diavolo.
Over there, that guy over there is Luigi Scarpucci. he was eating a linguine with clam sauce till he became one of the clams. That's right. Vito Testaroni came in and blew his fucking brains out. That's the end of every story he tells her on this date. Blew his fucking brains out. You'd be pretty bored at the end of that.
Hey,
she's kind of Hey, well, yeah.
You know Jimmy Bubat's Pasta Fazool?
him I've heard of. Yeah.
He's
What happened to him?
He's sleeping with the fishes these days. You know why?
No.
You see that fish tank over there?
Yeah.
They drowned him in there.
And then they blew his fucking brains
He
out.
still had red sauce caked around his mouth. Hey.
Oh man.
You know what my favorite Italian food joke I heard recently, Henry?
What's that?
Someone said Alfredo. The word Alfredo is Italian for cum.
It's great.
I
It's
think
good.
about that a lot now.
That you do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so they trade mob stories.
He just regales her with mob stories.
It's true. She just listens. Honestly, Kim Basinger doesn't have a lot of lines in this movie.
She doesn't. She doesn't.
She just
That's
listens to other people talk at her.
It's true, including her employees, and even the other big dialogue sequence is when they go on a date and she's dressed as a man. I'll say not dressed as a man, more just puts on a mustache, sort of like a good disguise, like in Airport 77.
She looks like Gwyneth Paltrow in Mordecai.
Yeah, there you go. And he monologues again at her about how hot she is for a while.
Oh yeah, he goes, hey, he acts like she's a man. That's the fun joke. He goes, because she says she wants to be one of the guys, and
He's very
so
literal. Yeah.
so she dresses like a man, puts on a fake mustache, and goes out to dinner with him. And he starts saying like, "Hey, bro, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm dating this bitch now, honey, and she's got an ass the shape of a heart. You ever date one of these heart-shaped ass girls? I just love them."
Your voice is almost quivering there. It almost sounded like another impression you were going to. Yeah, I'm always dating these girls with their heart-shaped asses.
Yeah, my Mickey Rourke is turning into like a Rodney Dangerfield.
Kim Basinger, you got an ass like a heart. Oh.
It's like a heart. So yeah, they that's another date. They go to Coney, which I mentioned. That scene really bothered me.
Well, because it's just this weird dominating thing, but it's very early in the movie, so it's just supposed to be him leaving her stranded at the top of a Ferris wheel.
Okay.
And the guy just agrees to let him do it. And the sexual purpose behind such is
But Henry, if you really want to scare somebody, you put him on the fucking Wonder Wheel. This was like the kiddie Ferris wheel they were on in this scene.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That is not very high off the ground.
No.
Yeah.
No, you
So
got
you're saying
I'm saying I don't understand why she would even be scared. This is a
It's not-
child's ride.
it's not cruel enough. Yeah. I think
She's like 10 feet off the ground. I would have been like, just let me down. Asshole.
she could have just climbed down. She's like, all right, you're not gonna let me down. I'll just lift the bar and just kind of figure out my way down. All right.
No,
Yeah.
you got to torture them on the Wonder Wheel like they did with, remember Roy Scheider tortured Gary Oldman in Romeo is Bleeding.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Classic.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
All right.
Off of this Wonder Wheel, Roy. Get me off of the Wonder Wheel.
He's doing an American accent in that movie.
And he would do it well. So
He does do it well.
off of this Wonder Wheel.
Obviously, the best part of the Coney Island sequence is when they run into a group of kids, and there's a little fat kid who says that he could fart the theme to Jaws.
Yeah, I figured you.
What was that scene doing in this movie?
No idea.
It was like 9.5 weeks meets the Goonies.
Yeah, totally. I thought when they first ran into the kids, it was like, And I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, but I guess this is just to show that Mickey Rourke is good with kids, but he's not really that nice to them. And then then they just do this disgusting trick, and then they move on, and that's that. And
Well, the kid just farts one note, and is not able to complete the Jaws theme, but they've already given him like $5 or something, so they run off with it.
yeah, it's a very
And it
odd-
adds up to nothing. Mickey Rourke's like, oh, fucking crazy kids.
Yeah.
And that's
it. There's just this movie feels like a lot of scenes sort of just pushed together and not a through line. And the through line, I understand that this is why I think I used to like it, because I used to think that and I still do like it, but it's just much weaker. There's nothing really happening except a bunch of good looking sequences that are just overblown, and they all take a really long time to unfold.
Nothing happens in this movie, Henry.
Right,
I got
right.
90 minutes into this movie, and I was like, is something... like, the movie's over in like 15 minutes. Is something going to happen? And it never really did. The movie literally is Kim Basinger and Mickey Rourke have a meet cute, right?
Right.
Then they start a relationship. Okay, you're following me?
Yeah.
Okay. Then they start having sex.
Right.
The sex gets really intense. They have sexual compatibility. He's rougher than she is, but at first she's into it.
Yep.
Then he takes it too far.
Yeah.
She breaks up with him.
Yes.
Now, a normal movie would have that happen halfway through the movie, and then the rest of the movie, he would sort of turn into a villain and start stalking her. You could do something like that, like in Obsessed or Fear with Mark Wahlberg. But the movie just ends with her breaking up with him, and then that's the end of the movie.
Which
So that's not even like, and they act like this is like something like she's like gonna have trauma from.
Well,
they dated for 2 months, and like the sex got like a little bit intense, and the second it got too much for her, she cut off the relationship, and he never showed up in her life again. It seems like something like a few years down the line, she's not even gonna fucking remember.
Well, therein lies my problem upon this watching, which was that I think it's okay to end the movie like that if throughout the movie you are going to provide some sort of context, intensity, and story that will allow everyone to
And if we care about them as people rather than just two hot actors.
Well, right. You're right. And like if you had a hell of a story there, then you would feel some deep emotion or connection. The time period elapsed wouldn't matter, and you could end it.
And listen, the time period doesn't matter at all. Like the movie's called 9.5 weeks, but nowhere am I like, oh, I bet we're like 3 weeks in now. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like
it could be 9.5 days. It really doesn't.
It could be a year.
Yeah. And therein lies the problem also with, I think, toning down whatever this book may have had in it, which I think if you're looking at this, what it was originally about, that I could see. I mean, imagine if it had the ability and the intelligence, this Zalman King fella and his two co-writers, to make this movie have some sort of psychological impact, like a Side Effects.
Yeah, I think that was.
And then you would be like, "Holy shit, she's in a mental asylum, and this guy really fucked." But you're left with kind of like all right. So they had an intense affair, and then at the very 5 minutes of the last of the movie, Mickey Rourke sort of breaks down and tells her a bit about his history.
I mean, for one line. And I mean, it's okay to only reveal that at the end, but the ultimate reveal isn't even that interesting or that telling.
No, it's not.
It's just like a last-ditch effort to get her to stay, and then she leaves. Like, ultimately, they're just like two people that knew each other once.
Right. I mean, I think it feels. I
They're
got the
both
feeling.
better off without the other one,
Well,
and I find him an extraordinarily unlikable character.
He is. He is.
Like,
And
because he's not a villain, he's not a rapist or anything, and he's not like a fun villain either. He's just kind of an asshole. He's just like a manipulative piece of shit, toxic guy.
You know what movie I just thought of as you were saying that? I just thought of Secretary, which, like, where Secretary, James Spader's character is also an asshole, but he's drawn very deep. Like, you get a lot of complexities going on about him and a lot about Maggie Gyllenhaal. And so a lot of it is more emotional and packs a little bit more punch.
It's very easy. Sex is a fascinating topic. It's a very weird thing that all humans do. And so we can all relate to it. And there have been a lot of really great psychologically complex films about sex. I mean, just think of the motivations of, God, again, James Spader in Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Sure, exactly. Right. Yeah.
I mean, we learn all about that guy, and we understand everything about the way his brain and his dick work. And I just never get that from Mickey Rourke. Like, he's just sort of like this very handsome dick.
Yeah, because they don't give you anything in this movie with him. Like, they give you all these things about James Spader. They give you all these things about Peter Gallagher and Annie McDowell and Laura San Giacomo. Like, all of those characters, you can see, oh, I see why they're doing what they're doing. But if anything, in this one, they make it, and I don't know if this is Kim Basinger, but I think it's more just a script. She's a little bit more understandable. Like you said, she's clearly this sort of little more naive. She hasn't experienced anyone quite like this guy, but his motivations, I mean, when he says, I loved you at the end, I found that a very strange thing for him to say.
I never bought it.
Neither did I. Yeah.
Sexual compulsion is a really interesting topic. There are movies that have made me care about child molesters, like L.I.E. or The Woodsman, and there's movies that, or Happiness by Todd Solondz, and there's movies like The House of Yes that have made me care about incestuous relationships, and
you don't even have to get that dark. I mean, you can just go to another Adrian Lyne movie like Fatal Attraction with adultery, and just like how complex they make Michael Douglas and Ann Archer's relationship. That's very well written.
Yeah.
That's like the opposite of this in terms of how insightful it is.
Mickey Rourke in this movie is about as deep a character as Don John.
Yeah, I would argue maybe less deep. Yeah. Don John has a very...
Are you kidding me? Mickey Rourke and Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Mickey Rourke's going deeper.
Well, that's a good point. Don John has more dialogue. That's all.
And
he likes porn a lot. And a bigger...
Well, no, I once you said Don John, he is a smaller. Henry, let's talk about some of the sex.
Sure. Let's do that.
How about, was there anything in the movie that you actually thought was hot?
Huh. I mean, oh boy.
I thought there were two kind of sexy scenes.
I mean, it's sort of almost the difference between what I thought was hot and how it's shot.
No. There's a lot in this movie that is intending to be hot that I thought was physically disgusting. But there were like two scenes that were a little turn on.
Okay. All right. I didn't like particularly. I like how this scene unfolds, and I thought it was hot, even though it's goofy. And I'm sure this is one of the scenes you did not think was hot. But I liked when Mickey Rourke and her have the little Joe Cocker dance sequence there.
No.
Yeah. See, I like that.
See, but there's something going on there. Kim Basinger is doing like a pretty sexy striptease in that scene. The problem with the scene is the entire scene right at the forefront of the soundtrack is just Joe Cocker fucking yowling at you.
Joe Cocker's kind of gross.
I'm incapable of getting a boner when Joe Cocker is playing.
That's not a bad point. Yeah, well, but I do like the scene. And
earlier in the movie, she jerks off, and the Eurythmics are playing, and that's much sexier.
Yeah, that is. I actually did find the sequence. I like the scene in the rain after they run away and he beats up those guys.
What are you talking about? That was disgusting to me,
You
too,
asked
Henry.
me. You asked me. What do you want me to do?
Are you kidding me? Having sex in New York City in an alleyway outside in the rain? It's a good thing we didn't get a shot coming from down the stairs because we would have seen all the homeless guys watching them.
That would have been great. That would have been amazing.
Are you kidding me? They found an alcove in New York City that doesn't have any
Uninhabited.
homeless people, drugs, or rats.
It's uninhabited.
Yeah.
Uninhabited. Yeah. I also did like I did like the sequence with which actually for her was the last straw with the hooker.
The hooker, who's credited in the closing credits simply as whore, which I love.
That was fun. That was awesome. Yeah. I like that scene. I thought that was a really good scene.
I thought that scene was all right too, but it kind of made me like Kim Basinger less because Mickey Rourke's whole thing is he wants to he puts a blindfold on her a lot, and in this scene he like brings another person to the bedroom, and it's a hooker in a hotel, and they start like making out in front of Kim Basinger. And what I didn't like was when Kim Basinger hit her breaking point, she immediately gets up and starts hitting the hooker. And I'm like, don't blame the hooker. What are you talking about? She's just doing her job.
Ay, de punta este breakera. Yo quiero.
Yeah. She does start hitting the hooker. I guess that's out of like "Don't touch my man."
Yeah,
because
well, of course
they
it
start
is,
making
but
out.
like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I know. Well, she's a little confused at that point.
No,
I
you're
think
right.
what-
That she is like, it's right after that, right? That she like really loses it at the gallery
it.
opening.
Yeah, that's it. It's over after that.
By the way,
scene.
how about that
I mean,
gallery opening? I bet you wish you were there, man.
Ron Wood was there.
Yeah, you could have hung out with Ron Wood, man. You know it's a good opening when Ronnie Wood shows up. That's the rule in New York City, in the New York City art world.
Dude, they show him twice, and the second time they show him, there is no doubt in my mind. It went right through my mind as the camera was on. I was like, he is fucking high off cocaine.
Of course
right
he is, but I love also he's doing he really looks like he's hobnobbing, like he's walking
Yeah,
around the
right.
party like, hey baby, what's up? Have you met me? I'm Ronnie Wood. I happen to be in a little rock and roll outfit called the Rolling Stones.
Adrian, if I could just sit down here, pretend I'm like chatting with the lasses, and maybe put a bit of coke in front of me, you know, that'd be great, mate. Thank you.
You know, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I found some of the food sequences, which you have to answer now, what you found arousing to you. But some of the food sequences, they keep laughing a lot. And I found that distracting from any sort of eroticism.
I
Like,
talk about
always-
this a lot. There's way more laughing in movie sex than there is in real life sex.
Okay, yeah. It bothers me too. We've never mentioned that on the show. That's a little pet peeve of mine. I don't you're in the act. You're going to do whatever you're going to do. You want to play with gravy, honey, lemon, straw. I don't give a shit. But once you start
I was having sex with someone once and she farted. And I just kept going. What am I going to stop and go like, hey, it's funny that you farted just now?
you know, or there are those moments where you might lose the position for a half a second. You don't go like, "Oh, whoops." What?
yeah, right. Like your fucking dick comes out of her, and like your instinct is to go like boop. Like I just don't get it, man. I don't get that, and I don't get food. I know this is like a real thing. Like some people have like food fetish, but
I begrudge anybody their fetishes. You know, whatever.
I
man.
begrudge that one a little bit.
Kinks, I should say, different things, right? Fetishes, I understand it, is something you must have in order to be aroused. A kink is just something you engage in as something you would like to
Where'd
do.
you learn that in the dating world?
I can't really. Yeah,
Yeah, a girl told you that.
I read it in.
No, you didn't. You're relaying a story that a girl told you about.
Poe's history of sexuality.
Okay. Yeah, the food stuff really made me want to vomit, Henry. Everything is just.
It's too much.
First of all, how much food is in this house? They're fucking on the floor of the kitchen, which is fine, but they're doing it like against the entrance, and the roommate is home.
I didn't think about the roommate.
Yeah, she is. We see her earlier in the scene.
Maybe she's in the other room fucking her ex-husband.
It's possible. No, I mean, because it's not like he's like feeding her something. Like it's not like he pulls out something like, here's another spoonful of cherries or strawberries or something. It's like he grabs one of everything they have in the house, and he just like has her refrigerator open. Oh, you got a little bit of Kool-Aid. I'll pour that on your face.
Pour that on your face. It's too long.
Because she's blindfolded. He's just like hovering the food over her mouth, and it's disgusting. I mean, at first it's like strawberries and stuff, and then he busts out fucking milk, and I'm like, that's fucking sexy.
Right. You're right. You have, if you're gonna do this, I've heard, it should be a mixture of the right things. It really shouldn't. You shouldn't mix certain things with others. I've read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's Lactaid. And
right.
And then of course the main event is honey. There's a lot of honey.
Too much.
Way too much. They pour out an entire fucking jar of honey on her, like she's fucking Winnie the Pooh trying to climb into the beehive thing.
It's like Yuli's Gold over here all of a sudden. And it's just like, a movie has lost me erotically when in this movie and in the next one, I am literally thinking, how long is it going to take to wash this shit off your body? Like, you were going to have to take the longest shower ever.
The food sex in the second one is even more disgusting. Like, because they also involve flowers in the second one. So then I'm just thinking about, like, I feel like the honey is, like, going to act as a paste and, like, lock those flower petals onto your skin. You're going to have to rip them off.
Well, not just that, but you might be attracting insects. I mean, you've got flower petals on honey. All of a sudden, Angie Everhart's going to die by bee sting.
I think you're going to have some welts once you're done.
Welts, you're going to get pollinated. It's very messy.
It's disgusting. The other sexy scene I thought actually was the Bloomingdale scene.
Remind me of the Bloomingdale's scene.
They go to Bloomingdale's to buy a bed, and they talk.
Oh, that was a funny scene.
I like that. They talk to the bed seller, and then they start to sort of mime fucking. Well, she does not even really. He tells her to like get on the bed, and then he's like, "Open up your legs. Let me see that puss." And she's like, "No, we're in public." And like the lady's right there, and he's like, "Come on, open up them legs."
But that lady's great.
She has some good reaction shots.
Because they could have had like a stereotypical like, "Oh my word" reaction, but she's also sort of just a nonplussed New Yorker.
Right.
Like, you're a little bit annoying because you're on my bed. If you're gonna buy it, buy it. But she's just, that's a funny scene. Yeah, it works.
Henry, I wanted to flag up. I just remembered in my notes. Very quietly in the background of that scene, you hear an announcement on the loudspeaker of Bloomingdale's. I don't know if you noticed this.
I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, just very quietly in the background, someone on the loudspeaker says, "Jerry Bruckheimer to the bedding department, please."
Get out of here.
I swear to God. I don't know. Maybe Adrian Lyne's friends with Jerry Bruckheimer?
That might make sense, but oh my God, dude. I didn't hear that at all.
It was very weird.
Wow. That's really funny, actually. I mean, but I didn't. Boy, that went under my radar. Jesus.
Yeah.
I was too busy listening to his rendition of talking about what is the thing in the mattress that the woman says you're going to need? You're going to need tickings?
Oh, yeah.
I'll admit I didn't know what that was. I had his reaction.
Trickling or something.
Something like that.
I had his reaction. He's like, I'll tell you what, babe. You pick the trickling, and I bet it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I think Mickey Rourke's character that he does do with the character, which I think is cool, not cool necessarily, but gives him a little depth, is that he clearly does not even know how to really interact with anyone. So like when he's even in social situations with other people,
It's not that he doesn't. I don't think he doesn't know how. I just think like he adds a layer of weird sex onto everything he says, which makes him like an intensely unlikable person.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I also
and I mean, like, he doesn't want to interact with anybody. Remember, like, she wants to introduce him to her friends, and he literally says, like, friends are for the daytime, and then once night hits, you
Right.
only see me.
yeah, right. But
And
that's
she's
what I
like,
mean.
okay, Mickey Rourke,
But I think that contributes to a
you
little
want
bit.
to pour chocolate syrup on my face?
I give up. My sentence left. By the way, that's a great Kim Basinger impression. I really like that a lot.
That's what she's like at this stage of her career.
You know what? I heard, I couldn't help hearing the Batman scream a lot in this movie.
I noticed that
was-
too. It's a very Vicky Vale performance.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I thought she sort of invented that for Batman, but Kim was already doing that, I guess. In the era
Kim
of-
Basinger is a not very good actress who is very lucky that some good writers wrote some material specifically for her.
I think. Oh, you mean in the several movies she's been in?
In the
Or-
movies she's been in that are good, it's always just like, all right, like a director going, I know how to use Kim Basinger.
Like what? Like L.A. Confidential.
LA Confidential is the prime example, I would think.
Yeah, I think she's a good actress. I think she has like an approachability that's very.
What's your
cool.
favorite non-LA Confidential Kim Basinger movie? The Real McCoy? I Dreamed of Africa?
Keep going.
Let's see how many I can think of off the top of my head. The Getaway?
I like The Getaway.
The
You'd
Alec
like
Baldwin Getaway? Roger
Michael
Donaldson,
Madsen,
right?
Michael Madsen, fucking Jennifer Tilly, Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger Getaway. Yes.
Have you seen the Steve McQueen Getaway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Of
making
course.
sure.
Yeah. No, I like that. The Ali McGraw one. Yeah.
All right, so she fucking dumps him, and he's like trying to save face. Like, listen, I've done this particular thing with a lot of women, and buddy, you're the best. I'm in love with you. Was not expecting it, but here we are. And she's like, bro, this was a lot. I'm gonna head out. And he goes, come, I'm going to count to 50, and I bet you'll be back by the time I'm done with 50. He starts counting. End of movie. We did skip another sexy scene when they go to the porno theater in Times Square, and they're just like people fucking on the floor.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
That was just bizarre.
And
'cause
then
I
she
was-
just like starts making out with some rando in the audience.
Yeah, I was trying to talk about Jacob's Ladder. That was almost a sequence there where it's almost like, is this really happening? Like, it's 80s Times Square, so
Yeah.
I guess a lot of shit happened, but it just looked like a fucking jerk theater. I don't know what all these trench coats are around and everything, and there's actual screwing going
Yeah.
on there. It was a little odd. Yeah,
It looked like
but
like if Adventures in Babysitting was rated R, they might have ended up there.
I used to love that movie.
I bet you're a big Elizabeth Shue guy.
Oh my god, I was in love with her.
All right, I've pretty much said my piece. You got anything more? It really just isn't a story. It's a tale of an uninteresting relationship
Well, I agree
that
with
lasts only 2 months.
I agree with the first part and the third part. It lasts only 2 months. It's not a story. I do think the relationship is interesting, but it's not nearly as interesting as I used to remember it being. Maybe that's me being older.
It just
I don't know.
evolves kind of slowly. Like nothing in this
Yeah.
movie seems like that weird to me. Like I've done a lot
Right.
of this stuff,
Right,
in like
right.
totally normal functional relationships.
You said it first.
It-
Okay.
It gets
yeah.
weird at the end. Like the hooker thing is hard to come back from.
Oh, you never did that?
No, I never did that. But like, until then, it's really not that bad. Like, though, honestly, when he says like he doesn't want to meet any of her friends, to me, that's worse than any of the sex stuff in this movie.
That's grounds for breakup because you're like, how are we going to continue this relationship if he never wants to meet my friends?
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
We need a social life, surely.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, the sex stuff also, I guess for '86 on celluloid was pretty daring. But it's funny because I was thinking about a superior movie, a nay masterpiece, and that is Last Tango in Paris. And that shit is far more intense, and that's like 14 years prior. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's our jaded eyes that this is like not that. Not that in.
But I
big a
think
deal,
that condemns the movie a little bit, in that now that we can no longer watch this with any sort of shock value, there's just no there.
However, I will say this: I appreciated in thinking about, which did occur to me, of course, especially since the character's last name is Gray.
Well, we don't find that out until the sequel.
Okay, but right, but John Gray, I found his little fetishes and kinks, what have you, to be much more believable because he doesn't own a fucking palace with rooms and contracts and lawyers involved.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's like just totally private and then only lets certain women into this little world, and it's that is kind of subtle, and I
Yeah.
like that.
I kind of like the scene where he buys a riding crop.
That was very funny.
Yeah,
He's whipping the horse whip.
yeah.
Yeah. Very, very
Rourke's
funny.
really good in that scene.
He is. He's very funny. There's no dialogue, really. He's just...
Yeah, and then he just whacks her on the leg for fun. I don't know. It's not like a piece of shit, this movie.
No.
It's just like there's nothing going on. It's like a fine 80s movie.
I went into the movie thinking I had already predetermined a 5.
Oh,
and then
fucking 5? I wasn't even close to a 5.
No. This is previewing before I even threw it in because, no pun intended, because it had been on my top 10 list for a while, and I've always talked about the movie in a glowing way. But right when it started, within the 10 minutes, I was like, all right, I guess we're at 4. And then not even really 35, 40 minutes, I was down to a 3, and there it stayed.
I give it a
So-
2.
Plummet for me in this movie. Big plummet. 3-star movie for me. I think it's good enough to earn a 3, but it's an average 3.
This is a
All right.
2. There are 3 airport films that are better than this movie.
Ooh, boy, that's yeah, but we wouldn't agree on what they are.
That's
but,
right.
Yeah, it's true. All right, my MVP.
I'm between 2, Henry.
Well, so am I. I wrote one though, so I might just go with what I wrote.
Go ahead.
Basinger.
Basinger, okay. Now, I'm between 2. The first choice is Kim Basinger's cat.
I knew it was going to be a fucking bullshit
It's
MVP.
very cute.
I don't like the Persian cats. Not a fan.
It's a cute cat, but that's not going to be my MVP. All right?
Okay.
My actual MVP is at one point, this guy shows up at the art gallery to deliver flowers to Kim Basinger. And he's listening to a Walkman and wearing headphones, and he just never stops fucking dancing the entire scene. The actor who plays him is a character actor named Rainer Shine, who's been in a bunch of stuff.
I've
Yeah.
seen him before. Yeah.
And he's my MVP. I got more pleasure out of those 20 seconds of screen time than I did anything else in the movie.
I liked that the song he was listening to the first time, or the only time. We see him twice, but we only hear what's on it. Did you hear the song that was on?
I didn't notice. What was it?
It's "Whole Lot of Love" by Led Zeppelin, but it's
It
not.
is?
It's not Led Zeppelin because I don't think they had the rights. So it's like a cover version of "Whole Lot of Love," and it's so fucking bad. It's great. Yeah, you could hear it. It's like dun, 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 dun.
He's
Yeah.
jamming out so hard.
He's going nuts, man. He didn't even turn that shit off to make his delivery.
No.
I mean, just
That happens a lot, though. As someone
does
who
it?
takes a lot of deliveries these days, no one takes their fucking headphones off
that's
anymore.
I bet you're right on that one. Yeah.
Here's the thing I've noticed. Every mailman in the world is just on a perpetual phone call all day with
that right?
with a friend.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are they like cabbies now, where cabbies are just all constantly on the phone?
They're worse than cabbies.
Really? Wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. We're
Now they have
entering a dystopia, Henry.
Well, we're in it.
Who's your LVP?
My LVP is the trio of writers because no, it is. That was clear to me.
I don't want to
down
blame that one. I feel like it's the other two. Those Zalman King and Patricia
His
Louisiana Knopp.
Well, I wrote Zalman King, so you can include his wife on that. Because I think you've got the things I like about the movie. I like the performances. I love the cinematography. I like Jack Nietzsche's score, and I like the direction. But this fucking movie is just really lacking any sort of story that is at all really compelling. And so I really blame Zalman King for fucking up what I think could have been a really devastating, amazing adaptation of a book I very well may read. Yeah. Who's yours?
It's tough, man. I don't know, all that food. It's hard to say.
Well, I was pick Mickey Rourke as my MVP, but I figured I had till the next one to do that, but I lost out on that.
I think I might make Basinger my LVP.
That is real harsh.
It's not really the performance, just the characters. No agency whatsoever. It's kind of annoying.
No agency. All right, AV Club. Good review. All right.
Jesus. I mean, I don't even know what that means.
The word agency being used. I like it. It's highbrow.
Okay. You ready to talk about this next one?
Yes, I am. Bordello of Blood's Angie Everhart.
I like Bordello of Blood.
That's the only thing I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, probably me too. I mean, she was around a lot.
Oh yeah, I remember her being around.
Yeah. All right, so another 9.5 weeks, which is actually only called that in America. Everywhere else in the world, it's called Love in Paris, which I don't understand why. If 9.5 weeks was a hit in other countries, but not here, why wouldn't you reverse that?
Good point. Probably for the same reason American audiences need, the Sorcerer's Stone, because they need to be like, well, what are we going to see? Love in Paris. That sounds boring. And then they was like, well, it's called Another 9.5 Weeks. Remember that thing in the 80s? Oh, so it's just another one. Got it.
So this came out on video, June 12th, 1997, 11 years later, right in time for that 11-year anniversary everyone loves to celebrate. We have a new director. It is the great Anne Gorsad, who got her start as Coppola's editor. Yeah, she edited One from the Heart, The Outsiders, Ironweed, The Two Jakes, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then she went on to direct many erotic thrillers, Henry, all of which I've seen.
Really?
Yes. Her first.
What are they?
Oh, Henry. Her first film is, of course, Embrace of the Vampire.
Oh, I know. I've heard of that. I never saw it.
That's Alyssa Milano, president of the Democratic Party. We all have to look up to her. She's the last word on politics these days.
I don't even
in the
know
liberal
what you're
community.
about. She tweets a lot, right?
Yeah. So she's got some lesbian scenes in that movie, and she's got one scene where she's at like a frat house and everyone's just like taking turns on her.
She's got lesbian scenes in that?
Yeah.
Is that on Amazon?
I actually think I watched it on Tubi, Henry, so you might be loving that soon.
No, that's not why I was asking. All right, continue. Go ahead.
She followed that up. She loved working with Alyssa Milano so much that she made Poison Ivy 2 with Alyssa Milano. We'll cover that someday.
Oh, yeah.
And then she followed it up with this movie, and those are her 3 movies, so I've seen them all.
Oh, wow. Look at you, the completest on Anne Gorso.
That's right.
Great.
It was written by a fella named Mick Davis. Now, this guy, he was probably brought in by Mickey Rourke because he co-wrote Mickey Rourke's passion project, FTW.
Oh,
you familiar with that movie, Henry?
No, I'm not.
That's the movie that Mickey Rourke turned down the John Travolta role in Pulp Fiction to make.
Wow, I knew he turned that role down, but I didn't know why.
Yep.
Okay.
He had to make
Oh,
FTW, man. Got to get that
Oh.
genius movie off the ground.
oh my. He did write a movie that I had always wanted to see, actually, about one of my favorite painters, Modigliani, starring Andy Garcia, called Modigliani.
Great stuff.
Yeah, you'd be real into that.
It looks like he's written a lot about Charles Manson.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some couple horror things. I don't know. He's not very good. But
Oh wait, I don't like him. He's friends with Rod Stewart. Fuck all that.
how do
All
you
right.
know he's friends with Rod Stewart?
It says right on his wiki page.
It says good friends with Rod Stewart.
Yeah, he worked as a fitness coach for a football team, Celtic FC, and he met and befriended the singer Rod Stewart.
Interesting. I lost my train of thought, but let's move on from that fucking guy.
Yeah.
Another 9.5 weeks. Oh, do you want to do a 97 list?
Yes.
I fucked up and I made a 1998 list this week, but I found an old ass 1997 list, so here it is. It's not a good list. I would change it.
All right. 1997, a very good year in film. Honorable mentions, a few of them real quick. In the Company of Men, The Ice Storm, The Edge, The Boxer, Eve's Bayou, Lost Highway, and I got plenty more, but we won't worry. Number 10, Gattaca.
All right. I lost my list when you had to go to the bathroom, but here it is. My number 10 is Chasing Amy.
All right. My number 9 is A Boogie Nights.
My number 9 is Schizopolis.
My number 8 is Waiting for Guffman.
My number 8 is Good Will Hunting.
My number 7 is Copland.
My number 7 is Hard 8.
My number, yeah, that's not right. All right.
Yes, it is.
That's 96. Number 6 is Chasing Amy.
My number 6 is In the Company of Men.
Heavy hitters, and these are heavy. Number 5, Jackie Brown.
My number 5, Starship Troopers.
More like a single.
Heavy hitter, baby.
It's like a bunt.
Stop
All right.
it.
Number 4, L.A. Confidential.
Yeah, that is not on my list. And I mean that I would put that on today.
I would think so.
There are a few things. It was a good year. I have
Very good year.
on my honorable mentions that Contact, The Ice Storm, The House of Yes, Happy Together, Four Little Girls. There's some great movies that year.
Oh, yeah.
My number 4 is Jackie Brown.
Okay. My number 3 is Good Will Hunting.
My number 3 is Deconstructing Harry.
My number 2 is The Game.
My number 2 is Waiting for Guffman.
My number 1 is Deconstructing Harry.
And my number 1 is Boogie Nights.
You know, Con Air is also that year, and U-Turn.
All
very good
great.
year.
All great.
Very good year. All right.
All right. Love in Paris. Let's talk about it. It opens on a nipple. The first shot of the movie is just straight up a nipple, and it is being stroked by a switchblade.
No, that's a straight razor.
Oh, even worse.
A switchblade would have been bad, but this is worse.
It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
holy shit. John Gray has now graduated to serious hardcore torture.
Then we cut outside. We cut immediately from a nipple being stroked by a straight razor to a horse dying on the street.
Great imagery.
And I'm like, what a start. I'm in. Let's do this.
Look, I knew this movie was going to be bad, but I didn't expect one thing about it. I'll see if you probably did expect this. I didn't expect it to be filmed very much like a Showtime late night.
Cinemax.
Shannon, what's her name? What's the blonde who's in all those late night erotica Cinemax movies?
Shannon.
Shannon Tweed.
Shannon Tweed, sure.
This is like a Shannon Tweed movie. I just wasn't ready. I thought it was going to be at least kind of a real movie.
No, it's definitely not a real movie, Henry. This is a fake movie.
But it's better than Basic Instinct 2. And
I disagree.
Really?
I think Basic Instinct 2 is a better movie.
Because it's funnier?
No, because this is funny too. You know what? It's more entertaining is the thing. This movie is a little on the boring side.
A tad.
Yeah,
tad on the
it's a
boring
little slow, and part of that is because it's keeping so closely to the pacing and the tone of those like 90s like late night erotica movies that everyone like speaks really slowly. Where it's like it's like someone's like, "I'm worried about Elizabeth." What do you mean? Well, frankly, I just never got over her. I know it feels that way. And nobody says anything specific either. They're just like,
right.
to the point where at one point, Mickey Rourke, Angie Everhard's like assistant,
Yes.
who they act as like her fucking intern, but is like 1 year younger than Angie Everhard. But she's at one point they go out together, and Mickey Rourke's like, "You should take your hat off and throw it into the pond because that's an ugly hat."
Right.
And I'm thinking like, there's no way that line was written. This is such a non-specific, non-committal movie that had to be Mickey Rourke actually disliking a hat.
It could have been.
And ad-libbing that line.
It was a rough period for him. These 90s.
People talk about Mickey Rourke's facial transformation, and I always thought people were being a little too hard on him. And the reason I've thought that is that I've never watched an 80s Mickey Rourke movie back to back with a post-surgery Mickey Rourke movie.
Oh, see,
He looks crazy.
Yeah.
The whole bottom half of his face is insane looking.
Yeah. Well, and the cheekbones. That's
the mouth is worse.
Yeah, I agree. But see, here's the thing. I grew up watching this actor, so I remember very distinctly seeing him in like late 80s stuff and then going into the 90s, and it was still like, oh, okay, he's all right. And then he sort of pops up. I'll never forget it when I was seeing Buffalo 66 in the theater. And as a big Mickey Rourke fan, I was just like, and I was even in a relationship with a girl where I made her watch like Angel Heart and Johnny Handsome.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's that age where you force people to watch things that you think are great.
That's as bad as not going out with your girlfriend's friends.
Yeah, it kind of is to force somebody to do that.
You're as bad a boyfriend as John Gray.
I am pretty bad.
By the way, they gave him that last name Gray in this movie. That is so stupid.
Since he hates Italians so much, they should have just made him like some racist Irish guy.
Anytime there's a character where you don't know their name for a long period of time and then you find out what it is, it's always something stupid.
Yeah,
the only time I've ever liked it is Kill Bill.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, when fucking Marvel was like, "Hey guys, we're going to reveal what Wolverine's name is."
Oh yeah.
And then it turns out his name is James Howlett.
Yeah.
Oh, Howlett, like a wolf. I get it.
Right. You're right. Don't keep the secret if it's going to be if it's going to be a pun or something.
If
boring.
you don't actually have an answer to the question, then don't bother answering it.
Yeah, there's no need. It still could just be John. Nobody's invested.
But
anyway.
It's just like everyone's calling him John Gray in this movie. The only name you hear more is fucking Elizabeth. And Kim Basinger is not in this movie, but people are talking about her in every scene.
Yeah, they are. But I was just going to say, I noticed his transformation in real time because as soon as and then I would see him in like 5 years down the road. I saw him in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and it was just kind of like, what the fuck happened? And then you would get all these competing stories, but it really just seems like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you probably know at this point more than me, but it just seems like he went back to boxing like 3 times and then got a horrible surgeon to do this reconstructive surgery, right? That's it. It's very simple, right? He wasn't some weirdo trying to alter his face, right?
I don't know. It's very easy to go crazy with that sort of thing and to then just like never be able to get your face back.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, he looks it's shocking. It's shocking.
It is. He looks disgusting. So we catch up with him. He's still dicking around. He's like sad and suicidal. He's apparently spent the last 11 years trying to prove to the world that he actually did love Kim Basinger, because he's just like missing her and being hard on himself. He hasn't seen her in 11 years, but he's still obsessed with her. So he gets invited to, she's apparently selling her entire art collection in France.
Yeah.
And he goes to France and he bids on every piece in her collection and wins all of them.
So he is obviously also, we never talked about this.
He's a Wall Street guy, but I didn't realize he had unlimited money.
I was just going to say, I mean, he is Gordon fucking Gekko, clearly. He is liquid. He has no ceiling at all. He's staying at like the most expensive penthouse in Paris. He's retired, obviously, from Wall Street. He states clearly, I'm never going back. He must have been involved in some scandal.
It's possible.
He even tells Elizabeth in the first one that he can't really talk about his job because it sounds illegal.
Right.
But he is, yeah.
So yeah, he goes there. He thinks he sees Elizabeth in the crowd, but it's just like some lady with blonde hair. He meets
a blonde wig, I'll say.
Yeah, that looks like 80s Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
And then he meets Angie Everhard, who purports to be Kim Basinger's old friend. Right. And she works with one assistant who looks up to her and one old guy named Vittorio.
And their friendship would be weird, too, because Angie Everhard in reality is 16 years younger than Kim Basinger. So it'd be kind of a mother-daughter thing going on there.
Well, I mean, that actually isn't... That makes sense in the movie because she says she didn't become friends with Kim Basinger until, like, later on. Okay. So it might have been a mentor-mentee thing.
Yeah, let's talk about Steven Berkoff. You mentioned Vittorio.
He's my MVP of the
fucking knew it.
I love him so much.
He might be mine. Mine's undecided, so
he has
might be mine.
Two of the two best scenes in the movie are the first one where we first meet him and he says, why are you playing with my emotions? I don't like that. Emotion upsets me. It makes me mad.
It's crazy, dude. That startled me.
It did. He just like lost it for a second.
Well, he'll always be to me the villain, one of the villains in A Clockwork Orange, and the main villain in Beverly Hills Cop, of course.
Mm-hmm. Who I didn't think was that great a villain.
Oh, see, I loved him. Victor Maitland, and he's also in Barry Lyndon. He's a Kubrick guy too, but what I love about
he's a glorious overactor.
Well, he knows he's in a complete piece of shit. So he's like, I don't fucking care. I'm just going to... This guy's like a Shakespearean actor in England.
Then why is he in this?
It's just a little teeny paycheck. And probably he's probably... Fuck it. I can do whatever I want. And they're not going to question him. So he just gets to... And I couldn't... Is he supposed to be gay?
No.
Or bisexual?
Maybe like fluid.
When they, yeah, there you go. When they have that, like, first, and kind of when he says mad like that, when he screams at him, like, oh, I thought he was gay. Why is he jealous of her?
No, man, he's just, like, cool with whatever. Because then there's that scene, the other great scene later on in the movie, where it's the great three-way.
Yes.
So, okay, let's get there in a minute. Because first of all... We catch up. We need to find out where Elizabeth has been this whole time.
Yeah.
So Angie Everhard has one of the most laboriously written lines I've ever heard in my life. I wrote down the entire thing. This is her explanation. None of the words in this line seem to connect to one another.
Okay.
She married a nice man. Older, but powerful.
But...
His family live in Tangiers. Let me repeat that. His family live in Tangiers. Mm-hmm. So that's where they went. That's the explanation.
Fair enough.
She married a nice man, older but powerful. His family live in Tangiers, so that's where they went.
Yeah, and I assume she doesn't mean the Tangiers Casino in Las Vegas. She probably means the actual location in the world.
I should think so. But that is refuted later on in the film, Henry.
That it is.
They start having a three-way sex scene. Well, it's not really a sex scene. It's kind of just Mickey Rourke laying there with a blindfold on,
And his black boxers on.
and
God.
Angie Everhard and her assistant, they're just sort of dancing in their underwear.
They're like caressing something.
They're kind of doing a choreographed dance too. They're like sort of like doing a lot of hip thrusts.
Well, the Euro trash disco music just keeps going throughout the movie. So, like, even when they started that scene, I was like, there's no music in this scene. And then there was, and then I was like, oh, they can hear it? They can hear the music too?
The whole fucking
It is relentless.
It is ridiculous. It's like all of it's like club cool down music. You never hear any like actual electronic dance music in the movie. It's always like when you get there a little too early. It's like shit. I'm in the club. It's only like 7:30, and they like play like sort of just like groovy kind of shit.
Yeah, they're warming up the fucking. It's like those shitty fucking Putumayo CDs, but this is like those trance versions.
Yes,
we sold
yeah,
those at
yeah.
the fucking store. Be like, cool trance. You know, it's just like fucking. It's like Sade, but like not half as good.
Yeah, it's
just
like Chibo Mato meets Enya.
Ah.
Yeah, with a drum machine and just a groove going.
Really bad.
Yeah,
it's really
baby.
bad, and the lyrics are real good. At one point, I heard a lyric that was repeated over and over called "sexual rainbow," which just made me keep thinking of "sexual chocolate" from Coming to America. But she says it many times. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of dance clubs in the film. Many different ones. We see a techno dance club where Mickey Rourke is doing the thing where he just like stands in the rafters and takes everything in.
Yeah, that's the guy.
And Angie Everhard's just like dancing in a cage with a gay guy.
That reminded me of Basic Instinct, the first one.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then that scene was confusing to me too, because he's looking down and he sees a girl getting like harassed by this guy, but the girl's got like really short kind of cornrowed cropped hair, and I'm like, who's that?
Nothing happens with that.
But it's her. It's Claire.
It's the young one. Yeah, Claire. She's...
Can't tell.
I couldn't tell in that scene until later on when we see her boyfriend being a dick to her again. And I'm like, oh, right.
And who is her boyfriend, my friend?
Oh, Wolverine himself. Dougray Scott. He's barely in this movie.
No, but he's got a lot of lines that are very angry.
Yeah,
he's
he
still
does.
Scottish in Paris.
Wait, so then they go gambling this is a very weird club. They're gambling, but it's also there's a belly dancer on stage and they're drinking absinthe.
Yes. Now, absinthe you can buy.
It's not as weird. Like they act in this movie like absinthe is like so exotic.
Right. I mean, to Americans, it's like, oh, holy shit. But, like, I've known plenty of people who've been to Europe and drank absinthe. It's not that fucking bizarre.
I drank absinthe in Manhattan with Adrian Grenier from Entourage.
Do I know this?
I'm sure I've told you that story.
Where did you drink absinthe in Manhattan?
There was
I
some
don't care.
I went to some sort of a club opening, and they were serving absinthe, and the dude from Entourage was there.
Yeah.
And I just found myself next to him. And we got into a conversation, and I think he liked me because I wasn't kissing his ass. Like I was trying to think, like when you meet a celebrity, you're like, I loved you in this, and I'm thinking like, oh, I've hated him in everything. Like, what do I say?
God, that's awkward.
So I was just like, absinthe is weird, huh?
How do you know it was real absinthe? I mean, you weren't hallucinating or anything, right?
No, but I mean that was like the big advertising point of the club opening.
Yeah, but it's not real shit. I'm not taking away from your story, but I doubt you've had the
Stop taking away from my story, Henry.
Sorry, taken away. Yeah. Absinthe. Okay, anyway, Mickey Rourke drinks absinthe. It's an Arabian club.
On Arabian Nights. They also go to another party at one point where it's like, this is when things are getting a little too dark. And I love that they showed you, they like cut to like two men kissing. And it was like, it's weird in here. There's dudes
now
kissing.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Before then, it's like, okay, all right, there's some girls making out, a little strange, a little it's open.
And then it cuts to like the dudes kissing, and it's like, oh my god, we're getting into some underworld shit here.
And that's really all they're doing too. It's not even like it's just two guys.
Yeah,
it's not
they're
like
fully clothed, just kissing.
Fully.
She has her fashion show where all the models, they're wearing like black and white jumpsuits. They all have like bare nipples, and you can see their underwear. They're horribly tailored. It's disgusting. Like if this fashion show was on Project Runway, Christian Siriano wouldn't take a fucking second look at this garbage.
You're unbelievable. See, I don't know anything. I don't know. How do you know they're not? I can't tell that. It's just I don't know anything about.
The one girl just has like one boob sticking out of the dress, and
that was intentional.
but just one, and it's not sticking out like strategically. It's sort of just like propped up. Like it looks like uncomfortable. Like she's gonna like come out of there with a cut.
Would you not buy anything from this collection?
I wouldn't, and I wouldn't be seen with anybody wearing anybody from this collection.
Anybody wearing anybody? You are truly Hollywood. I love the way you said that. That was great.
It's like she was like designing clothes for like Marilyn Manson on the red carpet. Remember he used to show up on the red carpet and be like, "Oh, you can kind of see his balls."
Yeah, I know. I would have much rather seen a Bjork type of fashion show here. That would have been fun.
An ostrich.
What was it she wore to the Oscars that year?
It was a swan, right? Or an ostrich.
Yeah. Like a fucking goose.
Yeah, when she did Dancer in the Dark. All right. So, okay, back to the three-way. Vittorio walks in and gives the big news. Are they telling you that Elizabeth is living in Tangiers? I don't know why they keep saying that. She's been dead since 1996. And
presumably the year that this is all taking place.
No, it's 1997. So I think she's been dead for like a year.
Okay.
I mean, she's already been buried. They go to her grave.
Yeah.
My question is, first of all, she OD'd. There's no sign of drug use in the first movie. I guess she was so traumatized by her relationship with John that she got into heroin afterwards.
It's so bizarre, that entire thing, because I kept thinking the same thing. I was like, did she show how can does she have drug-seeking behavior in the first movie that we just didn't pick up on?
Well, she does have a little bit of risk addiction, which we know is a thing, and perhaps fucking with honey slathered all over your legs is like a gateway drug to heroin.
Maybe she got an infection, got antibiotics for the infection from that encounter, and then got addicted to opiates.
Could be, man.
It sometimes only takes a little bit.
Even in Tangiers, it is an epidemic.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
But my other question is, how does Mickey Rourke not know she's dead? He's been obsessing over her for 11 years.
He lives not too far from her in New York for a while.
Surely the invitation to the thing where they're selling all of her paintings should say like late art collector Elizabeth whatever the fuck.
Yeah, good point. It's almost exactly the same as the pen name of the author, so it's like McNeil or some shit. Yeah, it's very strange. You're right. You would think he would have put two and two together, but he was boxing at the time. I have a quick question for you. Better actress in their respective movies we've already mentioned, Angie Everhart or Sharon Stone?
That's a really good question.
Oh,
I think Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. I think if we're comparing Angie Everhart to Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct 2, I'm going to go Everhart.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. She does sort of at a certain point in the movie make you care about the character a little bit.
I think when she fully comes, or when it kind of is fully revealed that she's actually not as confident, not as dominating.
Yes, yeah, that's actually a good twist. Because
yeah, it is. I didn't see that coming.
The first of all, Henry, what did you think a sequel to 9.5 Weeks was going to entail?
Yeah, honestly, it was a little bit of this. I kind of just thought that Mickey Rourke would take up with another woman and just kind of do the same shit again.
Exactly.
So
that
I
is
didn't think, like meet his match, or so we would think.
Once I saw Kim Basinger wasn't in this movie, I thought we were going to ignore the Elizabeth character altogether, and we were just going to see maybe Mickey Rourke's in another town with a different identity, and he's stalking a woman. I don't know, like the stepfather or something. But like in this, he's just this sad bastard. And so like once they set up Angie Everhart's character, I thought what they're doing is like she's even more Mickey Rourke than he is. You know, like she's like an even tougher John. But then it turns out that she's just like playing it up to what he's into because she has read Kim Basinger's diary.
Not nice.
Which, by the way, she wrote and titled 9.5 Weeks.
Doesn't everybody title their journals?
I actually
for
had
one part of their life.
I had one in 8th grade that I had a title for.
Okay, you were 13.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's different. Yeah,
oh,
9.5
she's got the
weeks.
brain of a 13-year-old. So it's that they're like upping the ante in terms of sex, but then you slowly start to realize that Angie Everhart is not up for this shit either, man. She's just sort of like, she probably masturbated a lot to that diary, and she's like, I gotta meet this fucking guy. And when she met him, she was like, I need to try out that cock. She tried it out. It was like fucking unreal good. The first time we see them have sex, it's like a huge sex scene. This is the scene I was talking about earlier. There are flower petals involved. There are silk robes draped everywhere. They are making love. He massages her feet with honey, which is one of the most repulsive things I've ever seen. Even worse than that, he pours out a bottle of wine, red wine, onto her pussy.
Yeah.
That is gross.
Well, all right. I thought you were going to say it was a waste of good wine or something.
I'm just saying she's going to have a UTI to deal with for the next couple
that's
of
a
weeks.
good point. Yeah, I didn't think it was any grosser than the honey.
No, the honey was the worst. But then,
UTI.
but at the end of the sex, it is so good that she starts to weep.
Yes, I forgot about that.
She cries over how good the sex is, and meanwhile he's off in the other room. He's like cutting a cigar.
Yeah.
Like, I made that shit happen. I had a little bit of pressure, and I got past it, and I fucked the shit out of her.
I just got the feeling when after you mentioned it now, that when he walks away, he always just seems, and this is probably Mickey Rourke just not being invested in any way in the movie. He just seems nonplussed.
He seems nonplussed, and she
Angie
seems
Everhart.
so pumped.
I mean, it's Angie Everhart. Say what you will about her acting skills. She's very beautiful. He's just like, yeah, all right. That was that. Next.
Yeah. The next morning, we see her do like a sexy dance. I feel like she's sexy dancing a lot in this movie.
Oh, that's in the daylight when he's like still in bed, right? And she's wearing
pretending
a robe.
to be asleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like the Joker. It's just like that movie.
The Joker jokes never die.
So then he really wants her to understand, like, if you want to be a part of my world, like, my world gets dark. So he like gets a hotel room. He hires a male hooker this time, and he's gonna like watch this hooker fuck her, and he's gonna like give this guy, I don't know, and it gets kind of
very odd though, because it's like when you said it, like he's saying like my world gets dark, but it's like, so if are we reaching the exact same conclusion sexually in both movies? That his ultimate thing is a threesome with a hooker? Is that his ultimate? Is that his ceiling of what's acceptable? Like, it's so
I
bizarre.
think he just likes to see his lady being used.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So, like, what if she liked it and went along with it? Would
Then
he just
they'd
be like,
live happily ever after. First of all, at first I thought that's what was going to happen. And then
I remember the title.
And then when she wasn't in, oh, that's right, another 9.5 weeks.
I figured it was going to end. Yeah.
But then when she wasn't into it, and he kicks the hooker out of the room, and he said something like, I had to do it so you know that I love you, or something like that.
Odd. Yeah.
And it was weird. I like, it's almost like he had to traumatize her the way that he did Kim Basinger's character to convince her that his feelings were real. Because I guess he knows that worked with Kim Basinger.
But he also, you're right. But he also knows he's going to push her away.
But
That's
that's
the
the thing. Like I thought that's how the movie was gonna end. Like he's like, I thought it was gonna be, you don't want any part of my world, baby. But like, you know, I put that behind me, and like I don't need that in my life anymore because I feel like I missed out on the love of my life, and I don't want that to happen to me again. But instead, he just leaves the room and like walks away, and presumably never sees her again.
Yeah, it's very, very strangely inconclusive. And also, you know, he could have cut to the chase way sooner with this girl and just hired the hooker on their first date, seen her reaction, and been like, all right, yeah, that's what I do. That's what you're going to get with me. We'll skip the honey and the petals and the wine and the Vittorio break-ins. And yeah, it's a great movie.
All right, what do you give it?
This was really bad, really, really bad, dude. I have to say, this is one of the worst movies we've watched. I've watched for the show.
This movie actually made me feel powerful. Like, I got through this movie with like minimal pain. Like, this was like a really terrible movie, and I never got like super bored. I like watched it, I took notes, and I got to the end of it, and it made me feel like I can watch anything. Like, I really feel like I could.
That's how I felt during the Santa Claus.
Like, I feel like I feel like that could be my job. Like, someone could pay me to watch. Like, I'll watch Two Girls, One Cup, like 10 times in a row. I'll do that. I really feel like I have the ability to watch anything in the world.
I can't.
I know,
So
you don't have that.
I don't. I mean, this was easier to watch than this was easier to watch than other things we've watched. I will say that, but it was still awful. An awful movie. It's 1 star.
Yeah, I give it 1 as well, but I think I'm just like inured to bad movies.
No, I mean, you certainly watch more bad movies than me on purpose. Obviously, that's, you know, one of you like, so that might have helped you. But yeah, this is pretty low on the list there. This is 1 star. My MVP is going to go to Steven Berkoff.
Yeah, me too. But I want to give a runner-up. I thought that assistant actress wasn't bad, and she didn't have at all a career after this. But
she was fine.
Yeah, but I thought she was kind of charming. Who's your LVP?
Yeah, my LVP. I really don't like doing this, but I have to do it. I'm going with Mickey Rourke.
That's funny.
He's just asleep.
I'm going with the music supervisor.
That's a great.
I could not take the music in this movie.
Not even the composers of the original music that's in it. The music supervisor.
The person who chose all of these shitty songs.
That's great. I like that. It's pretty good. All right. So rank them.
9.5 weeks, another 9.5 weeks.
Same.
Yeah.
I didn't do a superhero count.
You
for
didn't?
either movie. But I have it. But we didn't do it. We skipped it.
Oh, so right. So let's hear it now.
They're both very short. So here we go.
Mickey Rourke played Whiplash in Iron Man 2, and correct. Kim Basinger played Vicky Vale in Batman.
That is right. You are missing 1 Mickey Rourke credit.
He was in another superhero thing?
Yes. Come on now.
What is it?
He
I don't
played
know.
Marv in.
Oh, Sin City, of course.
Oh, there you go. So that's the first 9.5 weeks. That's it. Those two, Kim and Mickey. And in the second one, another 9.5 weeks, we have Steven Berkoff, who was in Red 2.
Okay, great.
And finally, one more, Dougray Scott.
Is Wolverine. Is the one true Wolverine.
He is in. He is Jacob Kane in Batwoman.
Poor bastard. Great. Is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you for listening to our 9.5 weeks coverage. And I want to thank people